division, separation, isolation may make us feel secure, but at the same time they prevent us from comprehending the complete picture. They prevent a total understanding of the matter. They prevent the total understanding of life itself. We divide ourselves, we separate ourselves from existence, and through that separation we feel secure. So we would feel secure in a group, we would feel secure in a tribe, we would feel secure within the boundaries of a country, we would feel secure with, at least we would feel secure emotionally while being with a partner. We will feel secure knowing that there exists a certain amount of comfort for us. It may be in our bank accounts, or it may be in our thoughts, ideas, or images that we carry. So the further we divide ourselves, the more secure we feel. At least ostensibly that seems the case. Superficially, it holds a logic that I will be secure in a group, that I will be secure emotionally with a partner. But when we look closely at it, this division, this separation that we make of ourselves and what lies outside of us, it only breeds conflict. Because when we have separated ourselves, we see the other as different from us, and for a conflict to happen, there has to be at least two parties which take themselves as separate from one another. Separation is the first condition for a conflict. And so when we divide ourselves, when we separate ourselves, we inevitably breed conflict. This division breeds a sense of strife and struggle with me and everything that I interact with in a relationship, with thing, with money, with ideologies. I will find that everywhere there is a sense of conflict around me, and the reason for this conflict to exist is the division, is the separation that we have within. We have separated ourselves from existence, from humanity. We take ourselves to be separate being, a separate individual. This idea of an isolated entity existing independent of its existence is illusory. It not only leads to conflict, it leads to confusion. It avoids a total, complete understanding within. And without such an understanding, we would be stuck. We will find ourselves stuck at multiple points in our lives. We we will find ourselves stuck in a problem, we would find ourselves stuck with a challenge, we won't be able to respond rightly to any situation, we won't know what complete right action is, because there is this sense of division within, and so an absence of total comprehension. We will run around in circles in trying to solve our problems, in trying to resolve our conflict, and there will be no resolution, there would be no solution at the end of an intensive exercise that we may carry to solve the problem, to find a resolution for the conflict. If suppose I think that I have a problem of communication, I think that I need to work on my speech, my explanation, my language. The problem of communication is when it's given, if I know the language completely and in spite of knowing it, I find myself that I am not able to communicate clearly. And so my solution, being a divided entity, being an isolated entity, I will find that I solve it through learning vocabulary, through memorizing, understanding the rules of grammar. But that will not solve my ability to communicate improperly. To understand what clear communication entails, I have to go within, because it is the understanding that I have of myself, it is through that understanding that my speech is formed. The words that I use can be learned, can be memorized, but for those words to give a structure to the inward understanding that I have, I need to look into myself, I need to address this division, this separation that I have created within. If I think I am lonely, I am jealous, instead of getting over my jealousy, instead of actively finding company so that I can do away with my loneliness, I have to see that it is this separation, it is this division, the isolation in which I function has caused this loneliness. The jealousy that I feel within is the result of separation from the other, is the result of a feeling of inadequacy and incompleteness within. And that which divides itself, which separates itself and thinks itself to be an independent entity, will always find itself in complications with the other, in conflict. This entity will always find itself stuck in multiple problems and failing to come up with a solution every time, because all of its solution and problem and the way it tackles with the conflict will always be in isolation and not with a complete comprehensive understanding of who he is. Whenever I try to solve a problem, whenever I try to come up with a response to a challenge, if I function within an isolated limit, if I operate with a separate with a separative quality in my mind, I would always fail to come up with an appropriate response to that challenge. All my responses would be being coming from an isolated situation will not be able to meet the totality of the challenge, and failing to meet that totality will create further conflict. The further we divide ourselves, the further we isolate ourselves, the more complications we give birth to. The sense of separation, the sense of division is the breeding ground for all conflict and confusion. If I am impatient, if I am impulsive in my behavior, and to not be impulsive, to inculcate patient outwardly through physical exercises or through developing a certain routine, if I think that is how I will be patient, or that is how I will not be impulsive, I am mistaken. The problem of impatience within cannot be responded, the problem of impatience cannot be tackled within a limited space that I function in. I have to address my restlessness. If through outward solutions, through physical exercises, I try to build a capacity for patience, if through breathing, let's suppose, I try to be less impulsive, I'll find that it is ineffective. I may experience a delay in response, or I may begin to experience some amount of patience, but the feeling, but making myself believe that I have become patient, that or that I have become less impulsive, is an exercise in self delusion. Those physical exercises may work for a period of time, but I will see that I am back again in the same loop, that I am not patient, that I tend to react impulsively in most situations. Being divided within, having isolated myself inwardly, my solution and response to the outward challenges and conflict will also be divisive, will also be isolated and therefore ineffective. I will keep on trying to resolve my outward problems, to come up with a solution to the outward conflicts, and I'll see that nothing seems to work, that all my efforts to solve my problems, to resolve the conflict, are not working. all the outward problems, challenges, conflict are a result of being conflicted within, are a result of a separative quality that we have come to believe in, because we think ourselves of because we think ourselves as a separate individual, a separate entity. This separation is unable to come up with an effective solution to the problem that it faces outwardly. In fact, the outward problems, the challenges, are a manifestation of this division, of this separative quality that we have within. There can be an n number of challenges outwardly, and my response would be to tackle each of them one by one, separately, one at a time, or I can come directly to the source of all these problems, these conflicts, the challenges that I face. When I come to the source, I find that without even trying to solve them directly, they automatically dissolve or cease to exist. Trying to solve our outward problems, the challenges that we face outwardly, is trying to solve or cure symptoms. The symptoms are a result of an inward illness, an inward distortion, a defect. And without addressing that inward misunderstanding, that inward division that I only have created, all my efforts to solve problems, conflicts, would be a waste, would go in vain. To cure the symptoms, I first have to understand the inward illness. And when I isolate myself, when I separate myself and think of myself as a separate individual, I breed this illness which manifests itself in symptoms, in the outward problem. All the outward conflicts, challenges and problems that we face are a result of a lack of self-understanding, because we do not understand our own self, because we have never looked to who we are, because we have never inquired into the life that we live. We haven't seen the facts of our lives. This ignorance towards oneself result in the problems that we find ourselves in. The more we understand how we operate, the more we come to know the structure of our own thinking, of how our thought, our mind works, the more we will find the problems, the outward challenges dissolving themselves. They cease to be. The outward problems are the result of an inward darkness that I carry. When I throw light on what exists within, the mess that I have created for myself, when I come in contact with my distorted way of thinking, I see how the knots, the blocks that exist outwardly begin to resolve themselves. The solution to all my problems lies in the understanding, the inward understanding that I have of myself. If I think of myself as someone separate, as an individual entity, the more I'll find conflicts and challenges present in my daily life. It is the quality of the response that I have for life which decides the type of problems and conflicts that I have outwardly. If I completely, totally respond to life, I'll find that the problems that I had, the challenges that I faced regularly are no more there. And if my response to life is incomplete, limited, or from my own ignorance, I'll find I am plagued with problems every day. They would look like as different problems in different areas of my life, but they all spring from one single point, and that is the point of ignorance that I have within. All problems that I have are the result of the inward ignorance that I have towards myself. In order to resolve my problems, I do not have to come up with a solution. I have to resolve myself, who I am. If there is conflict outwardly, I don't have to look for resolution. I have to address the conflict that I carry within. And in responding to the inward challenges, to the problem that is myself, I will be able to give a total response to the problems and challenges that I face in my daily life. Without this total response, to wish for my problem to go away, for my conflicts to resolve themselves automatically, is a delusion, is a self-perpetuated illusion that I am living in.